Alas, I have decided to continue to neglect my HP laptop where I produce greatness, to forgo a bit of writing and just create from the heart and the mind as the universal alignment and the eternal recurrence synchronize in within each other, the formation of a continuous thread emanating from my cerebrum, descending into my speech and written text. Therefore, I've decided to just go ahead and shoot the next full-length episode. The affordability crisis. On one of the social media platforms, somebody wrote me, somebody who I used to work with, awesome young guy, awesome young man, and this one is for you, Tony. I hope you keep watching my stuff, man. But yeah, so the affordability crisis. This is a big one, right? Let's tackle the affordability crisis. Kids don't have any hope. Like, there's no hope growing up. So let's make some hope. Let's make some hope for the next generation, okay? All right, so the affordability crisis. This is how you can conquer. Anybody can conquer it, okay? You just need a plan. You just need a 5-year plan. That's it. It's better for young people. And when I say young person, I'm 47 years old. I consider myself young because I'm not tied down as of yet. I never created progeny. My beautiful mom is still alive. I try to help her out as much as I can. I haven't helped her out as much as I wanted to because I didn't focus on money. I never once in my life cared about money. Only thing I cared about was purpose, philosophy, learning, exploring the vast ethereal expanses of the known and unknown universe, transcending the parameters of systemic thinking. Alas, affordability. Okay, so grandpa was able to support a wife, 3 kids, and a house with his 30-hour job, or 40-hour job, I should say, full-time job. He had to work, right? He had to work full-time, 40 hours and bam, at the factory, 3 kids. Now you can't do that. No, you can't. You can't with a single 40-hour job, right? Say you make 75,000 a year, 80, and that's generous. Not everybody makes that, but you can make 80, very easily. Even if you a person who is stuck at like 50, if you invest in yourself, you can work your way up to 80, 85, or 100,000 a year off of 40 hours, right? So I look at a place like mine, where I work at, a very classy, just great steakhouse that is located next to a convention center of a great American city with a robust economy. Therefore, one must know their surroundings. If I grew up in an area with lots of prominent factories with good paying jobs and that, then I'd have to adjust to that. Alas, wherever one is, one must be able to adapt. What I'm telling you isn't an exact recipe to the exact same thing that I'm suggesting, but it's for you to learn the adaptability, right? The only certainty in the universe and humanity and nature itself is to change. Therefore, the human must learn how to adapt to that change. So grandpa could do this on one job, but you can't. What do you have that grandpa doesn't have? Way more opportunities, way more channels of generating revenue that grandpa never had. Grandpa had the 40-hour job and that was it. You've got options, right? So take a kid coming out of high school, 18, or college, 22, 23, not, looking to start off in the world. Or say you're a 30-year-old person, you've got the energy, you've got the drive, and you're not, pulled in so many different directions that you can't focus on bettering your financial situation, right? So you take a person getting out of school, or a young person, or whoever, somebody, work ethic, diligence is required. For it to be a prodigious is essential, right? You have to get up and work, first of all. Like, you need to be ready to go out there and make it happen. I hear a lot of complaints about capitalism, but essentially, though, you got to go out there and perform. Okay, like you need to work hard and perform and believe in yourself. That's fundamental. That's just life. Okay, there's the will to power, and that's really all that matters. Even though we try to convince society that you should just be meek and humble, be the best self that you can be. So, say somebody starts working with me at my job at my beautiful, elegant steakhouse with no experience. They can learn, right? If you are prodigious in your task, if you study, learn about wine, cocktails, libations, learn about food, learn about the steps of service. Within 3 years, you could be a waiter at my job, right? And I make the low end of the waiters there, and this is because my focus was on philosophy. By the time my anxiety would get the best of me, I'm starting to feel better now that I'm realizing the universal alignment. But I never made great money compared to some of my coworkers, right? Because some of them were just extremely prolific and talented at just handling huge stations, which I could never do. I could never do, quite frankly. But yeah, my focus was not on money anyway, right? My focus was on philosophy and fulfillment and purpose ultimately, right? Therefore, so within 5 years, a person at my job could easily be making 75,000. If they are talented and prodigious, that amount can be 100,000 easily. If they are extremely talented and prodigious, shout out to Francisco and Jontel, by the way. They could make up to like 130K a year. Like if they really know how to bust their ass at the restaurant. You know, you can make $130,000 a year off of 31 hours a week at my job. At my job, okay? And that's these. You know, I'm not. Shit, it may be construed as me putting people's business out there, but I'm just saying that's the life of a fine dining waiter at a very prominent steakhouse and located in a very strong economic environment where there's economic growth. Yeah, you can do that. You can easily make 130,000. 30 at my job it would like 35 hours a week tops, like 35 hours a week tops, right? So yeah, and yeah, that's not guaranteed for everybody, and not everybody working in restaurants is gonna make that. But if you're working in restaurants, why not work at the best? Why? There's nothing stopping you from working at Olive Garden to going into fine dining, to going into the nicer steakhouses that are very busy and get good clientele. There's nothing to stop you from putting in that extra work, right? To refining yourself a bit, learning a little, refining your method of speaking, of carrying yourself, your work ethic, your diligence as far as learning of the pairings of food with libations and wine, right? So bam, you could be making $130 potentially, but let's keep it on the low end. Let's say you're making 80, 90, which is still good, right? Working 30 hours a week, right? So let's say within this 5-year plan, also another prerequisite is financial education, right? Teaching people how to be financially literate, to maintain good credit, right? So a young kid if they started at 18, by the 21 or 22, they could be pulling in 75K at my job, right? That kid buys himself or themselves a nice car because you have good credit and you're making good money and you don't have a ton of debt, right? Buy yourself a nice car and do Uber Black. Learn the best routes at the airport. Again, one must be prodigious, right? In their task. Prodigious in their work ethic, right? Strive to be the best. There's nothing preventing you from being the best. Seek out the best airport routes, right? That's another 10, 15 hours a week. And I don't know, like, but that could be at least like $700 like a week. I'm not sure. I don't, at the very least $300 to $500 a week, right? So that's, so we're talking, maybe like another 20 to 50,000 a year. So let's say, we're at on a conservative level, right? 140 now to 180,000 a year, dependent on one's resources, on one's diligence, success, right? So while you're doing your Uber Black, What do you do in your downtime? Listen to audiobooks or podcasts or learn something that you are passionate and about and do well. Because now exists the evolution of human communication in the form of social media. Therefore, influence in itself becomes a commodity. How do you influence, right? I mean, if you're an influencer, you know how to influence, right? I'm not an influ. I guess I'm trying to be an influencer, but as I only have 35 followers or subscribers, I should say, I have yet to attain a platform to be able to, produce the mass, as much influence as I desire, So influence now is the new commodity. Therefore, you can do influencing, right? And this you can learn while doing your Uber Black when there's nobody in the car, while you're waiting for the next ride. You can listen to that podcast. Learn about financial literacy, health, wellness goals, diet. Learn, more about healthy diets, right? The science of exercise, something, and create influence in that. The goal is to create, well, the key, I should say, is to create something that is useful and that provides value, like building generational wealth. Shout out to Summer also. All right, so yeah, if you're successful and you're influencing, I heard Poetico Flacco said he made $132,000 in a month on YouTube, right? Poetico Flacco, he's an influencer, or he does YouTube videos that I watch. I try to watch from as many different perspectives as possible, from the pro-black side, from the pro-white side, from the pro-MAGA side, from the pro-liberal side, just to hear what everyone is saying. But anyway, that's it. Just decided to shoot from the heart because it's far more quicker that way. I could just go ahead and knock out these episodes. All right, so cool. That's my third full length episode. And if you haven't liked and subscribed, and you watched all the way to the end of this video, you do yourself a great disservice.